right, so I call the meeting of the Sanborn Regional School Board to order. We will stand. Ringer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. All right. Public comment, but I don't see anybody here. All right, so we will move on to fiscal year 23-24 recommended budget.
Great, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Dawn, do I need?
Remote, so you, yes.
Yeah, okay, Rick Edelman, in an office by myself.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So I would just wanted to take a moment to share that we met with the budget committee last Thursday. Rick, can you hear me? No.
No, I can hear you. I'm kidding.
Oh, you just, yeah, that was good. You actually got me good on that one. I'm like, oh, nope.
Yeah, good.
I did meet with the BudCom last Thursday, and they asked Matt Angel and I to review if we could find another area of the budget to remove the $101,000 and I think $481 from. And so we analyzed the budget, and we felt that based on 4-year actuals of health insurance, that it would make more sense to take that money from the health insurance. And we also had a discussion about the request from the SHOP program for support for their work, because they have some equipment that's out of date and that they need a little more money. So I went and met with Mr. Kelly, the SHOP teacher, on Monday. Mr. Kelly and I had a conversation about his request, and then he sent me some follow-up information. And based on that follow-up information, I recommend to the board that we move the amount of money to be removed from health insurance, but we add $10,000 back to the budget to support our industrial arts program, because they need to buy some equipment. I'll fund some money from this. I just met with Miss Mitchison. We're going to fund a little bit from this year. We're going to fund some more from what was already requested next year. The additional 10,000 would really put the shop in a much better position than they would be in based on the proposed budget. So I did send the board an email with some backup information. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to read that information. But what I'm asking for this evening is for a vote to increase the operating budget by $10,000 and then move the remainder to health insurance. So I think that would be $91,481, but I'll double check. Sorry, Mr. Angel is sick. I told him to go home this morning. He wanted to be here, but he's very stubborn. And I said, no, you need to go home, because everyone is getting sick at the central office. And I just said, you need to go home. So and I told him not to join the meeting, just go to bed. And he did. So, so I guess I was wondering if I could get a motion.
Did you say that right?
No,
Say which part, right?
You said to increase it $10,000. But did you say the part where we're going to move it from teacher salary? Was that in part of your motion?
Yeah. So the motion would be to remove the funds from health insurance instead of the unfilled positions line,
Okay.
and increase the bottom line of the operating budget by $10,000 in support of the vocational program.
Okay.
After removing part that was on the salary.
Motion to approve. Is that move to approve?
Second.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of points. One is I believe there's sufficient money in the budget without having to increase it. I was on the BudCom, and that was certainly something that was talked about on the BudCom. And I do think that for $10,000, we'll probably get a much better vote than a split vote, which could be likely. And to me, for $10,000, it's worth it to try to get some unity around this. Although I'm convinced there's $10,000 in that budget anyways without it, but if that can help get the two boards more aligned, then I think it's worth pursuing.
great, thank you. All right, Any other discussion?
Can I just hear the motion again, just so, so I understand that it's worded correctly? I heard, I don't think I heard it correctly, or maybe it wasn't stated correctly. I thought we reducing the budget by 91,000, because I think that's what you're looking to do, and you're suggesting that that reduction be taken from insurance rather than the teacher line.
That is correct. So the exact motion would be to revise the proposed operating budget that you've recommended to the budget committee to reflect the following. Instead of taking $101,481 from vacant positions where no positions were removed, we were just changing the estimate for vacant positions. We're now going to take $91,481 from health insurance and add $10,000 back into the proposed operating budget in support of our voc ed program, specifically the wood shop and the
I was
automotive.
gonna say automotive.
Yep, wood shop and automotive.
So motion to approve.
All right. Yep, more motion to approve, and Heather seconded.
Okay.
Tammy?
Maybe we need Matt here, but can I clarify that once this is, when we get to the point of voting, is this the vote that's going to be recorded on the warrant?
Yes,
However we vote now?
yes. And that's what will be brought to the BudCom tomorrow.
That the process of that is always whatever eluded me, because if they change it, then it should come back to us.
Then it would
shouldn't
come back. Thank you. So that
Yeah.
if it stays the same tomorrow, that's what would go on the warrant. But if they change it tomorrow night, it would come back to the board at your January 4th meeting to affirm or
Not.
not
For a revote.
for a revote. I think based on the conversations at the BudCom meeting last week, they will pass this budget. That I brought it to you at Annie's request. The chair asked me to bring it to you again this evening so that you could vote and then bring that to the BudCom tomorrow night, because she thinks that it would be better for the BudCom to know if the board supports it. The change. The BudCom asked for a change in the school board's recommended budget. We're trying to build consensus between the two boards. So they wanted us to meet if we could before they meet, which is perfectly fine, process-wise.
Well, my feeling is that I agree with Jamie in that I'm certainly in support of raising the shop, the industrial arts budget.
Mhm.
But I don't think we need to take it out of our budget for next year. And I'm intrigued that we can actually find reductions in health insurance. I think if we can find reductions in health insurance, then we should do that and take the money off the salary line, because Jamie made some pretty good points at our last meeting of why we didn't need that money in there, frankly. But I don't want to, I don't want to be stand in the way of consensus. So I'm a little conflicted here on how I want to vote. I'd like to hear how other people feel.
Yeah, I would echo those. We talked a lot in the last meeting about whether that money was needed in the salary line, and basically it wasn't. We know that historically there's plenty of money left over in insurance, and I guess right now, we're only in the middle of the year, but there's about 700,000.
Mhm.
So taking money out of insurance is no issue.
Mhm.
But I also know that there's an effort here to have a meeting of the minds. So I've got issues with this whole budget, but it's a much bigger situation than we can deal with. We are dealing with, and hopefully we'll deal with it next year.
Mhm.
So I'll support it, but with regrets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Heather?
I will support it since I was against taking it out of the vacant positions, and that's why I voted no the first time. And I did watch the budget committee meeting, and they had a really good conversation around, the wants and needs of the community and what we're able to do and we're not able to do. And I think, as Jamie said, I think this will be a good compromise.
I guess my feeling kind of all along is then they're both estimate numbers with the, whether it be health insurance or salaries. So they're just estimates. We're just throwing a dart at a dartboard right now. So I'm okay with moving it from one to the other. And I'm excited to add 10,000 back into the shop. I think that's important. So I'll be in favor of it.
Yeah, and yep. I fully agree with Maura. I mean, both are complete estimates. And so whether we pull it out of one or the other, if we have to do line item transfers, we have the ability to do that. So we can fund either one based on whatever we need to do. If we get into a situation where there isn't enough. So I don't think that's an issue at all. And I completely agree. You know, I think supporting, especially this new small engine repair, I think that's really important because I mean, the trades are just, we need more people in trades. So if we can get some small engines in here for small engine repair training, I think that's just going to help benefit our students as they get ready to leave. And that's our goal, is to prepare them. So I think that's just going to help. So I'm very happy to do that. I'm sure we could find the 10,000 somewhere, but you know, if we're, you know, like everybody said, if we're really trying to come together and this was important, then I think, you know, we do it this way. So it's transparent that we're really trying to help support this program. And, you know, I'm in support of it. Rick?
Oh,
Sorry.
can I just say one quick thing, Rick? Tammy, I think to your point that I don't know if you had a chance to watch the BudCom meeting, but the consensus in the BudCom was, or not the consensus, but they wanted us to look at, they could live with the bottom line number, but they didn't love that it came, the optics of it coming out of the open positions. And so I tried to find another way to do it with an awareness that line transfers are possible if we need to in the future, one way or the other. So I think that it was I would not feel comfortable with cutting both. I would feel comfortable with either reducing the amount for the open positions or reducing the health insurance. I would not advise the board to do both. That's my opinion.
I would not expect that you would recommend that either.
I don't. We are dealing with unprecedented inflation.
Surprised me.
Well, it's I mean, but I recommended a lot of reductions, and I'm nervous about the inflation. I really am. It's not a, if I felt like I could cut both and be okay with it, I would say so. And I have to, when you asked me last week to bring cuts, I did. Right. I mean, I'm just a little nervous about doing both.
I wouldn't be too nervous, Tom. It's still up almost 4 million.
How's it up almost 4 million?
Spending last year.
Spending last year is totally below what normal is because we weren't even open for part of last year.
Last year?
Yeah. Memorial was closed in November last year. We had half of our intervention staff wasn't even filled until January. Last year, this is the baseline year, this year. And I can assure you, you won't be getting 2.5 million back at the end of this year.
How much?
2.5, 1.5.
2.5
Well,
million
you
left?
did if you take all the items that were added together. Jamie's estimate was close to 2.5 million total.
275.
275. That's not going to happen this year. I'm not going to be able to ask you to fund the track this year. I'm not going to be able to ask you to fund the auditorium this year. Troy is auditing special ed and it is making me very nervous. It is. And I'll have a bigger update once he's been in the seat without having to split between Bakey and special ed because it's really hard for him to be accurate. But I want to be very clear at the end of this year, Matt and I are talking daily about money. We've never had to do that. Normally we're at 8% right now. Right now we're at 4.5 or 5. And it's not even winter. Heating oil hasn't really kicked up. It's been very mild. We've been very lucky. That's going to change fast. Sorry, I'm sorry, Rick, it's your turn.
I would support the motion as proposed.
Thank you.
Just really short. I feel like a lot of this is
Are we,
just
Yeah, I'm
really short.
interested.
Just really short. I feel like a lot of this is kind of superficial because it's whether or not the taxpayers get it back now or after this year's budget. Because I feel like the plan is that this stuff isn't going to be spent anyway, since again, like Maura said, and like Heather said, this and Dawn said, this is all estimates. So in theory, this is not going to be spent and returned to the taxpayers next year or this year. So it doesn't quite matter that much.
Thanks.
Just whether or not you have the wiggle room.
I just want to point out it may matter much to the taxpayer that's in not good situation in the community as to whether they have it in their pocket now, pay for heating oil, or whether they get it back a year from now.
Mhm.
It might make a difference.
And I would just say that the message to the taxpayers is in a double-digit inflationary time, unprecedented, that the school board and the budget committee is putting forth a budget that is single digits, 3.9%, when their towns are most likely in double-digit increases. So I'd say it's a pretty good budget given the times.
All right. Jim,
That's true, Rick, that the towns are going up a lot more percentage wise. But like we talk about certain contracts, if they go up, some contracts go up 50,000, some go up $1.5 million. Our budget is almost $40 million. The towns are 3 million and 5 million. So as a real number, it's a lot of money.
Yep.
I agree with that. Yeah.
all right. Are we ready to vote? All right, Rick, since you are remote, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, unanimous. Great.
Thank you, everyone, for a great process. This has been really hard. Thank you.
Great.
It's important for the community to hear that unanimous vote. Thank you.
All right, would someone like to bring us into non-public per RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2, letter C?
So moved.
Give
Second,
that one to Jim Baker.
second,
Heather seconded.
All right,
AJ, it's great to see you.
roll call vote in. Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
myself, yes. All right.
If I don't see you, have a great.
Thank you, JJ.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks, JJ.
Thanks, JJ.
Thank you.
JJ, you didn't say goodbye to me.